YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark. How's everybody's week been? Everybody having a good week? Not that you can reply to me and tell me through this video, obviously, but you're more than welcome to tell me in the comment section. That's what it's there for, along with other things. I hope everybody's had good time at work, school, home life's working out for you, all that jazz. I hope that the girl you wanted to text you back did, or the guy, whatever it is you're into. Hope all that's going good. I know you guys can tell from the thumbnail and from the title, we're obviously talking about the death of Overwatch, right? And this is something that I think is very interesting because Overwatch was probably one of the most popular, next to like Team Fortress, that I can think of. And this is being someone who's not super into hero shooters and stuff, and never has been. So the fact that I even know of these two games, speaks volumes, right? Like that's how something is a household name. Even if you're not into it, you know of it, at least just from word of mouth, right? So there's probably plenty of other ones, but I'm not aware of those. In my opinion, they're not as popular, right? But Overwatch specifically was a game that all of my family plays. Sisters, brothers, everybody, pretty much, a lot of random friends and stuff like that. They all play Overwatch, and they all try to get me to play Overwatch, to the point to where my siblings actually bought Overwatch for me for my birthday years ago, back during Overwatch 1, before it became free to play. And, they were just like, yo, listen, we got you Overwatch. We guarantee if you just give it a little bit of time, play it, whatever, you'll have fun. I never enjoyed it. I didn't really tell them that, honestly, but I did not enjoy it at all. I thought it was super slow, super boring. I didn't like the fact that it was more like dependent upon your team. I prefer games where I can kind of like lone wolf it and solo it and, have a good time. I hate when I'm doing really good and then someone else is performing not as good, and then, we lose because of that. I can't stand that, right? Nonetheless, though, I feel like I said, it's really interesting, like what's happened with Overwatch, simply because at one point Overwatch was booming. It was super popular, right? Like, people were loving Overwatch, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And I've seen this happen plenty of times with games, but I feel like with Overwatch it's kind of different, right? Like, and one of the main things that I think happened with the game is that I feel like sometimes games just become too comfortable, and they don't understand that when you're in a live service type of game, or a game that is reliant upon having regular updates and stuff, because at one point in time Overwatch was a paid game and now it's free to play, so it is technically like the full definition of a live service game, right? And the people have been having a conversation lately about like, for example, when Marvel Rivals had their season 1 update, they introduced 4 characters. Now that's an exception, because this season has more characters and more content coming than like they already said they're going to be doing in the future, right? So that in the future there will be less characters being released at one time. I think they were saying like maybe 2 characters per season or something like that. It was like one. I thought they said 1.5, but now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know how you would do 1.5 characters. It doesn't make any sense. Nonetheless, the point is that is worlds beyond what Overwatch was doing, right? And before I even get into all of that, I just want to say that, like, this is predominantly a Call of Duty channel. I don't think I've changed like the title where it says like Warzone content creator or something like that, right? Because initially Call of Duty was putting out more than enough content for me. For all the years past and stuff like that, up until currently, they've been putting out more than enough content. I would try to play other games, and then it'd be like Call of Duty's like, oh, we got a new update, boom. We could tell you were trying to play something else. We just updated the game. We got plenty of stuff coming out, right? Whereas now, it's almost like they're purposely sabotaging their game, right? That's a whole different video and a whole different story. The point is that most of the content creators that I watch, their niche is Warzone, because that's what I'm interested in. I'm sure there's lots of Overwatch content creators. I know there are, but I don't. That doesn't come up on my feed because it's not something that I'm constantly watching, right? I tend to watch things that are in my niche and other creators like that. So what I've been noticing is like other creators are not only stepping away from COD because they feel the same way that I do in regards to what's going on with the game, but a lot of them are playing Marvel Rivals and trying it for the first time. Some of the creators they played Overwatch, but so they kind of have like more of a background in the hero shooter kind of like category and stuff. But for the most part, a lot of the creators they're new to hero shooters. This is their first time playing it, and they're having a ball. You know what I mean? And I've been seeing a lot more people like in the game while I'm playing saying like, refugee from Overwatch or we're on Overwatch now or came from Overwatch, whatever, right? But something that's interesting is like I said, let's look at the numbers here, right? So looking at the Steam chart, which I know Steam isn't the only metric for gamers and stuff like that, but still, nonetheless, though, this is a good idea, kind of like what's going on, right? And we see that Overwatch for the last hour has only had 15,000 people. 24-hour peak has been 29,000, and all-time peak has been 75,000, right? So them having 75,000 is not even barely a quarter of how many people are playing Marvel Rivals. And the game has been out long enough now to where if it was a game where it was going to die off and, because a lot of games you get that initial kind of rush of people and they come in. There's been a lot. I've seen so many in my lifetime. The game comes out, they hype it up. Everybody's interested in something new, different. There's not a lot going on with the other games that they're playing. So everybody kind of flocks to it. But then after a couple weeks, it dies down and it kind of levels out, right? Whereas Rivals, in my opinion, has been, not opinion, but just the numbers, they've been consistently gaining players. So, and you're talking about 300, 400,000 people playing the game, even 500,000 people at certain points and stuff like that. So I feel like as time goes on and more people start to give it a chance, it will only go up, right? So that brings us, back to Overwatch, right? And with Overwatch, and, like I was saying before, with the content creators, different people who aren't usually into hero shooters, because that's one of the things, right, is that with Overwatch, I try to give it a chance numerous times because I have so many people that I care about who play the game, and I like spending time through gaming with people that I care about, right? Like that's some of the best times you can have is when you're gaming with family members, really close friends and stuff like that. Nobody wants to really feel like left out. People are talking about this and they have their inside jokes about different characters, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to give it a shot, right? And I never had fun with it. I prefer to be playing fast-paced arcade FPS type of games, right? And even if it's like a shooter, like I said, I prefer to be FPS. I'm not as into like I'll play some third-person games, play Fortnite. I dealt with it in Overwatch and stuff, but preferably I like FPS, right? Or actually, I'm sorry, Overwatch is FPS, but you get what I'm saying though, right? Like, I'll make the exception sometimes with like certain games and stuff. But nonetheless, though, still. And even then, I like military shooters, and I like them to be modern day. I'm very like specific in it, right? Which is why I preferred like the Modern Warfare series in Call of Duty. But the point that I'm making is that once you can get people that are already in your target audience, that's one thing. But if you can get people that aren't in your target audience, like myself, Nick Merckx, different people that have stepped outside of what they're used to playing to play other things, I find that to be really interesting. And I feel like it's a really good indicator of success initially, right? But like I was saying before too, though, is that you have to keep people interested. You have to have regular updates. You have to be consistent and actually talk to your community and your audience and tell them like what you're planning to do, what you think when there's problems, bugs, cheaters, and stuff like that. These are all things that you have to have people that are on top of this stuff, because we're just becoming too spoiled with live service games to the point to where if you say, hey, we're going to do updates, but we're only going to do updates every 3 or 4 months, that's too long for some people. They're going to be on to the next thing. And if the other thing that they're onto is good, they might not come back to the game that you have. It's just the world that we live in. Everything is, bing, bang, bam, right? Like there is no like waiting around and I'll give you 5 or 6 months to get this, pressed out, whatever. These numbers from the Steam numbers, what they remind me of is Battlefield. You think about Battlefield, right? Battlefield, people were like, this is going to be the Call of Duty killer, man. It's going to, when Battlefield comes out, it's about that. I'm talking about the latest one that came out a couple years back or whenever it was that it released, right? And what happened with that game? It came out and it was littered with bugs. They were just all over the place. I mean, there was nothing but meme after meme after meme about all the different bugs and stuff that were in the game. Unplayable for some people. Half the stuff that they promised were going to be in the game, it was not even in the game. And that's what I was saying about these numbers, is that's what they remind me of, is Battlefield numbers. That's why, to begin with, me making this video, this would, to me, be considered a dead game just by the numbers, right? Like, and that's why I brought them up initially, because you think about Call of Duty. Call of Duty has millions upon millions of people that play the game every single day, right? And if they lose 100,000 people off the Steam chart, people are like, it's a dead game. But if it ever got down to the numbers that Battlefield or Overwatch 2 are at right now, it wouldn't even be debatable, right? It would be, and I'm the kind of person where I feel like fair is fair, right? I'm by the numbers guy. So looking at these numbers, to me, I'm like, why are they even keeping the servers on at this point? You know what I'm saying? Like that can't, they're barely probably just getting by in that sense, But yeah, no, I do personally feel like Overwatch 2 is dead, and Marvel Rivals, should be brought up on charges right now for, jokingly, for, being the culprit, in that sense. And, I don't really know what was going on with it beforehand. I mean, I do have an idea based off of what people have said, but I just mean, like, I don't know if there was really a community behind it prior, really, or if it had already kind of been on like a slippery slope, just because I don't follow Overwatch as much. But I have seen so many people that are like refugees from Overwatch, or like the debates online on Twitter about like, I saw when they shut down TikTok, they had also shut down Marvel's Snap or whatever, right? Which I've never played that game, but I guess it was part of the same company, right? Not Tencent, but ByteDance, right? So somebody had put up a post, and they were just kind of like, they had showed Marvel Rivals, and they were like, yo, the government has like they could do the funniest thing right now. And they were basically saying they could also shut down Marvel Rivals because NetEase is a Chinese company, and they were basically saying people would flock back to Overwatch, and they were just like, no, And I think it's interesting because when I really think about what the difference is, see, initially, if I was to think about what the difference was between like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals, that has kept me interested this whole time and made it to where I've been like pretty much no-lifing this game. I would initially think that it's because of the Marvel IP, right? Thinking like, oh, well, I love Marvel characters and Marvel comics, since I was a kid. So like to me, it's like, oh, well, I'm playing the same game because it's a clone, but I'm playing with Marvel characters, and that's just not true. When I really think about it, there is just a rush that I get from Rivals simply because there are so many different types of characters. Now, granted, there are some characters that are very slow-moving characters, right? Which is something that I just said I didn't like about Overwatch. But when they're slow-moving, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, it makes sense to me why the Punisher is a slower character, right? But then there's other characters, not so much. You have your Captain Americas. Bro's got like a permanent sprinting option. You have other characters that can fly and stuff like that. I could go on and on about different characters. You have characters that are tanky, but then they have the ability to do stuff. Like you take the Hulk, for example. The fact that he's tanky, he might move slow, but then he can power jump. Or you can like put Wolverine on him. That's another thing too. Team ups and stuff. Having team up abilities. Saying like, well, this character is going to boost this character or work better with this character. And the fact that it actually kind of like makes sense based off of the lore of these comic book characters and how they have certain team ups and stuff or whatever. Like you take like Groot and Rocket, right? Groot and Rocket, that's what they do. They team up. Rocket jumps on his shoulders and he starts blasting. That's what he does. He's Rocket Raccoon. He gets it in. But having basically taking what worked from Overwatch and then improving upon it, that's how you're supposed to do it. That's how things are supposed to work. I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. She was telling me about a company, social. I won't say who, but she was talking about a social media app, and she was saying, well, they're now starting to do this thing that this other social media app is doing. And I was like, that's what they're supposed to do. If it works, why would you not take it and try to do the same thing, but then also improve upon it, right? Like, it's nothing personal with me. If I'm using one app and then like there's another app that does the same thing, but they're doing it better and have more features and stuff, you think I'm not just gonna go to that other app? It's not personal. Like, I don't know these people. They're not doing anything for me in my life to where I'm about to be like, nah, I got you, bro. I'm never gonna switch apps, man. I'm just loyal to someone I don't know or have no interaction with. No, it's a program. It's just a tool in my everyday life, and it's the same thing with anything else, right? Like, if I like something, but then someone else does something, but they do it slightly better, I'm going over there. I'm paying attention to this thing more, right? It's just how it is. It's just the nature of things, right? And saying, oh, well, these people did it before. I don't care. That's like saying like McDonald's makes French fries and burgers, right? But then if there's a new spot that pops up that makes burgers and fries, but they make fries that taste better and burgers that taste better, what do you think? We're like, well, McDonald's did it first. Okay, do you think that I care? No, I don't. I'm going to the place that tastes better. It has the same stuff for the same price. It is what it is. I might even be willing to pay a few bucks more because, it brings me joy, whatever the case may be, right? So, it is what it is. But, ultimately, I do feel like it's time to go ahead and say rip to Overwatch 2. I think that there's nothing wrong with appreciating the source material, from things like that, right? Like how that is what Overwatch is to Marvel Rivals, right? Like would we have Marvel Rivals without Overwatch? No, probably not. I mean, I don't know. I don't know these people thinking or how things would have worked out, but no, I don't think we would have had that, right? But there's a lot of things in life where that's the case, right? Like someone can make a Batman movie and the movie is like, it's like, yo, why do they do this? That wasn't good. I don't like that. And then someone else uses that to say, okay, well, I'm gonna make a Batman movie. I'm gonna not do the things that this previous one did, right? And then they make that and you go, oh, boom, we got the Dark Knight trilogy, or we got the latest Batman movie, whatever, right? That's how things are supposed to work, right? And at the time when you don't have that other option, you can look at something and say, oh man, well this is cool for the time being, whatever, but then once you find that thing that has been improved upon, you're like, okay, well, nothing personal, but I'm on to the next one, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, though, I do personally feel like it's curtains for Overwatch. I think that the last remaining players that are there, they're just the diehard players that just are not going to go anywhere. And they, and that's how it is sometimes. I get it. They probably got a bunch of skins. They understand it. They know every single character. They have their mains and stuff like that. But eventually, it's like this was like last year, I think, or like year before last. I can't remember. But, I used to when I did used to play sometimes with my brothers, like we'd be sitting in a queue for like 15 minutes sometimes. And I'm like, I can't do this. The matches last for like 5 to 6 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes. So like, sitting in a queue for longer than you're actually playing the game is as diabolical to me. I couldn't do it, right? But that's another thing too, is like you play Rivals, like I have to literally tell them, like, listen, after this match, do not press queue up because I need to go grab a bottle of water. I gotta go, grab the dog from outside or whatever and let him back in, whatever, right? So whatever the case that it is, the queue time, lightning fast. Like as soon as you press, it's like boom, you're in a match. You found one, right? Things like that make or break your game, And like I said, it's nothing personal to the creators. I'm not bashing the game or anything, or anybody that's still playing it. You can do whatever you want to. It could be enough people for you to only play the same team over and over again, and that's your thing. But realistically, the servers staying open for much longer, I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and they got to be making money from it, and not just a little bit of money, but enough money to justify still running the servers. Or, what actually might happen? Competition breeds creativity. You know what I mean? So they might mess around and say, you know what? We're tired of Marvel Rivals doing us like this, right? They're embarrassing us. They're putting dirt on our name. You know what? We're about to actually come out with a new season, and we're going to improve upon all the stuff that we weren't doing before and add in things that we didn't have before, whatever. Change some type of mechanics, whatever the case may be, to make people be more interested. But I do feel like if you have just in all fairness, if you have two games and one game is based off of like, random, sorry, I might add just to my mic, but if one game is based off of random characters that you've just created, original characters, whatever, versus a long-standing, well-established IP like Marvel, it's really hard to compete with that, in my personal opinion, just because of brand recognition, right? The fact that people already know and love a lot of these characters. Like when I was growing up, you would get called a nerd or whatever for reading comic books. I was kind of an exception because I was kind of like a hybrid. I was a skater, guitarist. I played sports and stuff like that, and I also read comic books. So a lot of people would just kind of not really pay that as much attention with me. But if you were someone who just kind of like solely read comic books, you kind of got picked on for that, right? Whereas nowadays, it's becoming cool to like be into all this stuff. Everybody wants to, I've been into comic books my whole life. And I'm just looking at them like, I don't know about this guy. You know what I'm saying? Either way, I'm glad you're into it, but I don't know about you, man. I got the comic book collection right behind me, my office to really justify it and prove it, right? But still, though, like I said, nowadays, I feel like since the MCU and stuff like that, it's become so much more cool to be into comic books and that kind of aspect of pop culture and stuff, and it's becoming more of a pop cultural thing. But still, though, like I said, trying to compete with that is very, very hard, right? Like it's really, really hard. So we'll see. But let me know in the comments though, like, what do you guys think? Do you think Overwatch is dead? Do you think that it's just kind of where it is? Do you think that, people should be able to enjoy both of them without it even being a conversation, whatever. Whatever you think, put it in the comments though. But I appreciate you guys for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. And I'm also going to be coming back tomorrow with a video about COD and the fact that, I have no idea what they're doing over there, man. I would really love to get back into some COD from my original followers and people who, have been here since, the days when that was pretty much all I posted and stuff. But I am going to do a video about that tomorrow. So, and I have a couple shorts for you guys coming too. I know I took a couple of days off. I had some family stuff going on that I want to do. I had to be dad for a while, so I had to do that. But yeah, like I said, just let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking, and I will catch you guys on the next